Good morning and welcome to the Alpha Pension Retirement Recap, our Fiduciary Friday version. And with me today is Rob Milas, our Chief Investment Officer, and Mark Salamone, our Lead Consultant. Rob, it has been a strange year. I think there's a lot of good things going on that we're not even aware of potentially, but also some crazy things too. So why don't you tell us what's happening?
Yeah, Rich, as you said, unusual. You can choose a number of words, but, that one comes to mind when we describe 2020. So, Rich, I know you, but I'll ask the question. Are you a glass half full or half empty type of guy?
Half full. The whole thing's full.
I knew it. All right. So the Q3 is sizing up to be the largest annualized GDP growth on record.
Wow.
That's the glass half full. Half empty, it's also sizing up to be the second largest year-over-year decline in earnings. So, again, we continue with this unusual year, right? And again, as we kind of close out Q2, we're looking forward to Q3, and we're starting to get those earnings announcements. And we're starting to see a rash of upward earnings revisions. And that's the opposite of usually what happens going into earnings season. Usually it's the other way around. So let's keep an eye on that. And why are these earnings being estimated upwards? Well, it's because we're starting to get some economic news that's relatively positive. And I use that term relatively on purpose. You can see in the chart that the PMI, which is the Purchaser Managers Index, that's a forward indication of economic activity. And anytime that registers above 50, that's a positive in terms of expansion. And it's currently at 55, and you can see as the chart dipped, but it's bounced back now above 50. So again, strange, unusual year. We have a strange, unusual animal there. I actually don't know what that is. And I don't know where we're going, but I do know where we've been, and it's been an unusual trip.
So again, sort of strange, unusual, specific to this year, I'm going to talk about plan loans. So normally, a plan loan is 50% of your balance up to $50,000 as the maximum. As you know, because we covered in great detail, because of the CARES Act, which is legislation passed because of COVID-19 this year, part of the bailout package, you now can take either a loan or distribution up to $100,000. And if it is a distribution, you have up until 3 years to actually pay the taxes on that. The point being, it's very easy to access your own retirement savings. Now, we all know that taking a loan or distribution isn't going to put us on a positive path or trajectory towards retirement, but I don't think we know how bad that can be and how much it can impact us. So recently, Fidelity came out with a statistic that almost $400,000 of just Fidelity participants have taken distributions, and about 8,500 of them have taken about $100,000. So here's the point. Obviously, if you take a loan or distribution, it's going to negatively impact your plan. A thought, instead of taking a loan or distribution, is to pause or reduce your deferrals instead. And if you do need to take a distribution, don't take the most you can take. Just take what you need. So don't take $100,000 unless you truly need it. Only take what you need, and then you can always go back to take more if you need it. Now, we're talking about this today because this loan provision will sunset on December 31st unless there's any changes. So it'll revert in 2021 back to the $50,000 or 50% limit. So that's why people are really looking at loans to get their last grab at their own retirement money if they need it. So, Mark, I'm going to transition to you now to talk about PPP loans, which again is something specific to the year 2020 and the COVID-19 bailout provision.
Yeah, and related to a lot of those CARES Act provisions, the PPP was similar in that it really helped a lot of businesses keep jobs, keep current jobs and keep people on the payroll while providing necessary funding to businesses. So those loans, in a lot of cases, can be forgiven, and the Small Business Association has just begun the process of forgiving those loans. And there's some numbers that are pretty, in my opinion, staggering. There were $525 billion loaned out to small businesses. That represents 5.2 million loans. And what they're estimating is that saved 51 million jobs. So pretty good funding. And I know they're talking about hopefully maybe another round to help struggling businesses that are still, going through it and where COVID-19 has really affected them pretty hard. A lot of the smaller PPP loans, ones that are less than $50,000, now have the ability potentially to do a simplified forgiveness application. So this would mean this is a loan that's not on this company's books that hopefully the Small Business Association will approve for forgiveness and then pay the lender. So good program that helped a lot of businesses, and there might be more in the future, depending on obviously where Congress goes and you know what debate they have about that. But that process of forgiveness has started, and a lot of companies, I would think, are pretty thankful that that program existed.
Yeah, that was a very aggressive program that came out and obviously was effective. So thanks for that information, Mark. So I'm going to leave you here with two things. One, last week, I believe it was last Thursday, we had our annual fiduciary training for all of our clients. It was 2 hours long. We had some great guest speakers, wonderful content. We do have that recorded. So if you would like a copy, either go to our website or you can email Mark or I at mark@alphapension.com or rich@alphapension.com to get a copy of that. We'd love to share that content, whether you're our client or you're not a client. And lastly, last week was a tough week for the music community. So obviously I have guitars hanging behind me. We lost Eddie Van Halen. Our own Rob Miles was somehow on the cutting edge of that information and told me within minutes of it hitting the press. But obviously Eddie was one of the greats and he'll be dearly missed. So please contact us if you have any questions or thoughts, and thanks for watching.